So in today's video, basically we're going to answer the common asked questions about rabbit farming.
Hello once again, viewers. I'm an expert in rabbit farming, and I'm here to answer those questions that will be asked or that are commonly asked out by some individuals interested in rabbit farming.
So this is our first question. I have a rabbit of 2 months and her stomach is getting bigger. She's not active. What is the problem?
Talking about rabbit farming, you must know that there are some diseases that affect these rabbits, commonly at certain ages. So, looking at a rabbit of 2 months old, they always get complications, which we normally call bloating. And tackling bloating, we always have a medicine that we give out to the rabbits. We always use 1 lead of this drug. It's called acidine. We always mix it with the water of that rabbit. We put this 1 lead of medicine into the trough of drinking water. It is always the ratio of 1 to 1. If it's 1 liter, you put in 1 lead of 1 lead of acidine. If you don't use acidine, we also have another drug that we use. It's Enroso. It can also be used to treat the rabbit that has bloating.
Okay, what causes bloating?
Bloating sometimes is caused by giving out feeds, and the feeds, when they are not dry, as you've seen, we give out this weed. When the weed contains some dew, that means it has to affect those rabbits. Looking mostly at the rabbits of 1 month and above.
Okay, this is our next question. Please display a suitable house for rabbits. And what are the features of a good rabbit house?
Basically, displaying out the best rabbit house that we normally construct, we always have a cage constructed of 2 meters, 2 meters each, width, length, and height. Always it is the suitable rabbit house, because it gives the animal the freedom of moving around, exercising. As you know, these rabbits always do some exercises. They do run within the cage. So having that measurement of 2 meters everywhere, it gives enough space for the rabbit to exercise. Then looking at the features of this single cage, it has a feeder. And this feeder is well constructed that it has a lid on top, that even after feeding the rabbits, giving them the rabbit pellets, you close so as to avoid contamination of the rabbit feeds. Either when the mother has given birth to its bunnies, we always use this lid to protect the rodents or the rats that always get in to eat the rabbit bunnies. And looking at another feature on our rabbit cage, we have a nipple and a drinking pipe. So this pipe is the one that transmits water. Since rabbits also need water for their sustenance, there is this nipple, which is basically where the rabbits feed on. And looking at the nipple closely, it is that one which has a spring inside of it. As you touch it slowly, it shows that it lets out water. Water always gets in and pressurizes out and gets pressurized into this drinking nipple. As the rabbit tends to touch on the nipple slightly, as the water thoroughly just flows out for it to have some drinking water. So this is the best feature of a rabbit house, and it is basically good for the rabbits because it is time saving. Just come, put in water and do other stuff. When the rabbits feel like drinking water, they just touch the end of the nipple and start having that drinking water.
Okay, here's the next question. Hey, can you recommend for me good breeds for commercial purpose?
As we've been talking about rabbit rearing, there are some people doing rabbit farming for different purposes. So tackling that one of the commercial purpose, we have the best breeds that can basically do better with commercial purposes. We have the New Zealand White. As I recently talked about New Zealand White, this is a good breed. It matures on a terrible speed, and it is really good for commercial purposes, since it also gives birth at a good rate of 5 bunnies and above. We have the New Zealand Black, which does the same too. And we have the Giant, though it's not present here. Those are the mostly recommended breeds for commercial purposes.
Okay, my rabbit kids always start dying when they reach 3 weeks. What is the cause? And can you please help me to stop them from dying?
Rabbits reaching 3 weeks old, or being matured for 3 weeks, there are some challenges they always face. First, they face that challenge I've talked about of bloating, and I've told you how to deal with bloating. And with the rabbits, when maturing, there are some nutrients they need in their body that these feeds they are not enough for them. We always have some drugs that we inject them. At 3 weeks, we always inject the rabbits with multivit. This is a drug which contains vitamins to boost the proper growth and the proper sustenance of the young rabbits. Looking at another drug, we always use 2 drugs in the ratio of 1:1. We have oxytetracycline, which we always inject those 3 weeks old rabbits. We always use it as a mixture of 2, so as when it is made this way, combined together, it fights against coccidiosis again. Coccidiosis is a disease that normally affects the rabbits at such a young stage, from the period of 3 weeks and above.
So, what causes my rabbits not to eat?
Talking about rabbits not feeding, since it is their best habit, rabbits feed thoroughly, daily. At any time you find them, they can feed. So when you get complications with your rabbit that it is not feeding well, it is not having something to eat, we always look at the disorders, which include diseases such as coccidiosis that normally stops the rabbits from feeding well, stress, when they're in a place where there's noise, a lot of noise, and causing unnecessary movements for the rabbits. It also causes the rabbits not to eat. And another thing is the diseases of coccidiosis and bloating.
So here's the next question. How can I prevent my rabbits from eating their babies?
Talking about reproduction in rabbits, these rabbits, after giving birth, they always lack some food nutrients such as fiber, and even when they are starved, just get to know the rabbits will have to feed on their bunnies. And another thing, when the rabbits feel insecure in a place where they have given birth, like unnecessary noise, making unnecessary visits in its house, it also gets the rabbit stressed and suspicious of being in an insecure environment. So that one leads to the rabbit eating its bunnies. So preventing that is avoid unnecessary movements in the rabbit house, prevent the rabbits from receiving unnecessary guests, and have a set period of time that you give a visit to your rabbit farm, so as you give them security feeling inside them.
Okay, please teach me how to deworm my rabbits and tell me the products to use and how to deworm them.
Okay, talking about deworming the rabbits, we always have the 2 drugs we use. You can either use Ivano, this is the best drug for deworming, and if it does not work best for you, you can have another drug. It is called Medicating, which we always inject in the ratio of 1. We always use these drugs in a single period of time, as You see, we are using Ivano now. When you are ready to use Ivano, you get your syringe. We always inject these rabbits an amount of 1 ml. This 1 ml basically works good for the rabbits, since it does not kill all the worms inside that can help it sustain its life. So talking about how to inject your rabbits with this drug, you always get hold of its back this way. You raise its skin. Then talking about the raising of the skin, after doing that, you inject and pierce into the skin. Make sure that as you're doing this, it does not pierce the body of the animal. We always inject in between the skin and the rabbit body. So as when you let it in, have some scratches for the drug so it does not cause swelling, for the proper movement of the drug across the animal. So as you have done that, just know that this skin contains vessels, blood vessels that transmit blood across the body. So when you have injected it with the Ivano drug, it will definitely move around the whole body with the blood vessels that are onto the animal's skin.
So how many times do you deworm in a year?
Deworming is done always after 3 months, that period of 3 months. And roughly talking about the times of deworming, we always do it 3 times annually.
Okay. So here's the next question. What is the best medication for coccidiosis and how can it be administered?
As I have talked about diseases and disorders in rabbits, we are now tackling that one of coccidiosis. Talking about the best drugs to use for coccidiosis is we always have this mixture of tetracycline mixed up with multivit, or you can use another vitamin drug which is vimaltina. So you get your drug, and we always give it in a ratio of 1:1. Use your syringe to get the drug out of the bottle, which is always 1 ml. Then also, as you have the tetracycline drug, you also pick up 1 ml for the proper medication, making them 2. Since I'm out of tetracycline, we are basically going to let it be there that way, and we shall do a video next explaining how we shall inject it. So as the injection process is concerned, we always do it the same way as I have illustrated with the deworming drug. That's the same process we use always. We have no different process we use.
Okay, here's the next question. My rabbits are losing weight and fur. What can I do?
Talking about rabbits losing weight and fur, that means your rabbits need to be dewormed. First, you need to deworm. You deworm your rabbits using the you use the 2 drugs I have shown out, the Ivano drug and the Tectin, if it comes across that you have it on your farm. So that's the first step, is deworm your rabbits. Then after doing that, after the period of 3 to 4 days, you can now inject your rabbits with vitamin drugs. You can use the multivit or you can use the vimaltina in a ratio of 1. You use it as a single drug. When your rabbits lose weight, that means they are not feeding well, and we always inject them with the vimaltina drugs or multivit so as to boost their feeding habits. We always raise the skin and inject in between the skin and the rabbit meat for the proper transmission of the drugs. So when you inject your rabbit direct to the meat, that means it will just get stuck in there. But when you inject in between the skin and the rabbit meat, the drugs will be transmitted respectively across the rabbit body.
Okay. Now, this is another question. I've made my rabbits, but they failed to produce. What is the cause, and how can I make them to reproduce again? Like, they have stopped producing bunnies.
They have stopped producing. So, talking about reproduction in rabbits, there is a period that these rabbits don't need to be overstressed, as it has given birth recently. You need to give it that recovery time. You give it the recovery time of 1 month. If it has given birth now, you can calculate the time in between. Then it has given birth, then space it up for recovery for its body, because it needs to regain the nutrients it has lost while giving birth. It has to regain that feeding habit, because as it is feeding its bunnies, it is stressed when made to mate with another male, so as you want quick produce. No, we always give them recovery time of 1 month or 49 days, as it has given birth to more than 3 bunnies.
Okay, here's the other question. Can you please help me to differentiate between a male and a female rabbit?
Talking about differentiating the sex in rabbits, currently I don't have a male on my farm, but looking at the genitals of the rabbit, it will help you to differentiate which sex the rabbit you're having stands in. Looking at the genital of this rabbit, it shows that it is a female rabbit. So, looking at its genital, having like a V-shaped genital, that means that's a female rabbit. Then when you tend to look at a male rabbit, I will say this by word because I don't have a male rabbit around, but when you touch its genital, it moves out something like a penis, and you will be able to identify that it is a male rabbit.
Okay, here's the next question. Can you help me with tips to make my rabbit grow faster so that I can sell them within 4 months?
Talking about growth in rabbits, boosting the growth of your rabbit is basically dealt in with feeding supplements or giving them extra supplements of nutrients, which include, you can feed them on rabbit pellets. That one boosts their immunity. Feeding them thoroughly, like feeding them from morning, feed them on rabbit pellets. In the afternoon, feed them on tubers like sugar canes, feed them on maize cones, any other substance that is a tuber. It can boost the growth of your rabbits. Then in the evening, it's when you give out the routine of feeding them on wheat. So that boosts the growth of your rabbits, and within that period, you'll be able to sell out your rabbits.
Okay, what are the common mistakes people make in rabbit farming?
Common mistakes people do in rabbit farming is making the rabbits starve, not giving them food on time, as it is a common mistake that it may end up stressing up the rabbit, not giving you the produce of your desire. And another thing is that people have improper sanitation or the improper hygiene of the rabbits, around the rabbits. As you see, we did isolate our rabbit. It is up on top, as its droppings always are collected down here into this trench, and for easy removal, and hence leading us to having a proper hygiene for our rabbit house, as they do not get infected with various diseases.
Okay, this is the next question. How can I make my rabbits produce more kids or bunnies?
Talking about reproduction in rabbits, There are some rabbits that give birth to a few of the bunnies and others give birth to a more of the bunnies. One, how to boost the reproduction in your rabbits is firstly not making your rabbits starve, putting them in secure places, and ensuring that you are having a balanced diet of supplements of feeds for your rabbits, as you can feed them on various types of feeds. They feed on, you can feed them on plant tubers such as sugar canes, feed them on cassava tubers and not the leaves, feed them on sukuma, feed them on various types of feed so as to boost their productivity. So as when it feels that it is secure and not starved at all, the rabbit will produce more of the bunnies. Then talking about another thing is the recovery period we always give to the rabbits after birth. When these rabbits give birth, we always give that time so as to expand or enhance their productivity after that period they have given birth. We give them that time to recover from that illness, since it is somehow an illness, though it has lost blood and it loses fur, appetite, it has to feed the bunnies. So we always give that recovery time. So give the rabbits recovery time so as to produce more bunnies.
Okay. Why is it that my rabbit doesn't want to breastfeed her bunnies?
As earlier on talked about securities in rabbits, as an animal, when it feels that it is insecure in a place, it won't breastfeed her bunnies. And another thing is when you starve your rabbits, that means it will not have that appetite of breastfeeding their bunnies since it has no milk. And milk is produced after that rabbit has given enough feeds to feed on and given the supplements in feeds. And another thing is when it does not need to breastfeed the bunnies, that means the bunnies are of more number than expected to eat. And that's why they neglect sometimes their bunnies. And another thing is when you bare-handedly touch the bunnies when they have been given birth to by the mom, she will feel like she's having an intruder into her territories and neglecting the breastfeeding of her bunnies.
Okay. Where is the market for rabbits? I would like to start.
Talking about markets, marketing for your rabbits, it is always done in various ways. We can always market our rabbits through online, since we have an improved generation. You can use the social media platforms to advertise or to market for your rabbits so as to boost that market or the demand for your rabbits. And another thing is communicating mostly to your neighbors, since they may take the information or they may communicate more to their families, friends, or even more of their neighbors.
How can I collect the rabbit urine in a single channel or one channel?
Talking about collection of rabbit urine, we always do it in a way that you construct a cage first and foremost above, and it has wire meshes below it. As you can see, it has wire mesh for proper passage of the rabbit wastes and rabbit urine. As the rabbits urinate, the urine is collected onto this iron sheet and it flows into this trench, and having it collected into the trench, it is sloped. As we were constructing this rabbit trench, it was made in a way that it is able to slope, and the urine also just flows down to our drainage system. And I'm going to take you to that place where we normally collect the urine. talking about our drainage system through which we collect the rabbit urine, we always have trenches dug and piped into the underground, so as we have a proper collection of urine. As I did show you inside, the rabbit urine is now collected into our septic tank, which is able, or which is capable of withholding 2,000 liters of rabbit urine, and you can use it for other uses. And when it is properly collected and properly stored, that means you have a good produce or a byproduct of your rabbits at the farm.
Okay, thank you guys.
See you in the next